Well, hello. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
Ladies, I am so excited to see your faces and to talk with you because our vacation has been wonderful, but I've missed you.
I know. Happy New Year, guys.
I
It's
missed you guys too.
2022.
Woo!
Yay.
It's great. So, I don't know where we left off, but let's talk about our Christmas vacation when we haven't met for 2 weeks. Let's talk about how we did. First off, let's talk about how we did over that time, how we feel today about it, and then we can maybe move in and talk about some goals and some plans for the year. How does that work?
That sounds great.
Sure.
Okay, Candice, who goes first?
So I completely have no clue at all because it was 2 weeks ago. So therefore, we're going to start fresh for 2022. And we're going to start with you, Erin, because in my view, I go like this. So Erin, you're first, then it'll be Rikki, then me.
I love that you've got your gloves on and I've got my gloves on. So
I know.
Get the spirit fingers, our Bravo fingers ready. I said going into this that my goal was to maintain for Christmas. And ladies, I maintained for Christmas.
Good job.
And not only that, I lost a total of 8.2 pounds last year. So I actually weighed less at Christmas this year, January 1, than I did last year.
Oh, that's even more of this. I thought you were about to say you lost 8.2 pounds in the past 2 weeks. I was like, Erin, you just really went for it. But that's great. Congratulations.
I wish that were true, but it's not.
But that's still
a
an
big deal.
amazing.
So I had a couple days, we do our big cookie baking day and we made some treats that I could eat. But I actually chose a couple days where I went, these are going to be cookie-free days. If I want to maintain, if this is my goal, what are the habits that I need to do to get me to my goal? And so I actually picked a couple of days, not in a row, but like every other day, I would eat one cookie. And we make these things, we call them holly things, but they're cornflakes and marshmallows and some green food coloring and like little red hots on top. So they look like little trees or wreaths. Anyway, those are my favorites. I love those. So I'd have a couple of those, but I tracked everything. That was my key, was being accountable to that. And of course, the Real WW Talk step bet. I mean, I was out every morning doing my walking, maintaining that. So I will tell you that doing the step bet really helped me focus through Christmas. So I'm proud of myself.
And you've been very consistent with your walking, Erin. I just wanted to commend you. I remember when you made that an intentional thing that you were going to do, and you've stuck with it. I mean, this was, what was it? September, August, September?
Yeah, something around there.
And
yeah.
you know, whether it got really cold out, you figured out, you're like, I'm going to get my warm leggings. I'm going to figure this out. I just wanted to tell you that was motivating to me to see how you committed to something and stayed and really focused on consistency.
Thank you. So, yeah, I definitely didn't walk today because it snowed, but I got up this morning and I did 15 minutes of walking in the basement. And then I still have some more walking. So when we get done here, I'm going to go do 30 minutes to get my steps for the new stepping into 2022 step bet. So
I just love that everybody's doing step bets. It makes my little heart just pitter patter to hear people excited about step bets.
Okay. You know what I love is that you're so passionate about this, because when I first told you about it, you were like, what? I can make money walking? And
then I immediately signed up and I've never looked back. And
I love it.
I'm like, what? It's over. Oh, I need another one.
But Erin, what I love too is that you decided that you were going to maintain. And I think a lot of us, including me, are afraid to make that kind of a goal because it's like, well, I'm supposed to be in weight loss mode. Why can't I just set a goal to lose 2 pounds or 1 pound? I wanted to lose over the, holiday period, and I did not. I ended up being up by the beginning of the new year. And I think in retrospect, I would want to do the same thing that you did and say, it's okay to say I'm going to maintain, because I think that's realistic. Like you saying that you're going to have a cookie one day and not the next day. It's a lot easier to make that reason, that goal happen when you're, that you're trying to maintain. You're not trying to lose, an unrealistic amount of pounds.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you hit the nail on the head, Rikki. Like, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to lose, especially if I look at my prior history. My
Mhm.
prior history is I gained about 4 pounds between that week between Christmas and New Year, and it takes me forever to work it off.
Mhm.
And so I know that I'm not going to I'm not going to go from a 4 pound gain consistently every year to suddenly losing weight at Christmas. Like that's just
Mhm.
I just don't see that for me, but I think that saying that yes, I'm going to aim to gain nothing,
Mhm.
it was more realistic. And but it I mean it's the discipline of the habits that were already built going into it of the walking, like you said, Candice, the walking, the drinking the water, and then telling myself no.
Mhm.
And it didn't mean that I was depriving myself, but I was choosing to say, today's the day that I'm not going to do cookies, but I will do that tomorrow. So it was a delayed gratification. But
Mhm.
all our lessons, all the things that we've been talking about, it's like it was the masterclass time for me at Christmas to put them into action. So,
That's
Well,
awesome. Good
yay.
bravo
job.
again.
Yeah.
Yay. All right, who's next?
Rikki.
I am. So, as I mentioned, I was up. I probably was up about 4 pounds over the holiday, the couple of weeks, and it surprised me. When I stepped on the scale that first day of January, I was like, "Wow, I wasn't expecting that." Um, I think sometimes, even though the step up was very helpful, I think sometimes I still rely on I'm moving more, I'm moving more, I'm doing this to think that it will combat some of the other things I'm doing as far as food, the choices I'm making related to food. So I'm keeping that in mind. I'm excited for the next step ed, but I know from how my body works, even when I'm going on the Peloton a lot, I'm hungrier because I'm working in there, more intense workouts. But I cannot eat or I cannot work out enough to undo bad food choices. So that's something that I'm going to take with me.
Hmm.
That's such a big thought. I mean, there's some really big quote that I've heard about that. Like, you can't
Yes,
outwork
I
your
was trying to
diet or
think.
Hmm.
something. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yep. It was it. You can't out exercise a bad diet.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
But at least, what I appreciate is your accountability, because
Hmm.
even to process the gain,
Mhm.
that takes strength and courage. Some people are like, I'm still not going to step on the scale. Like, I can't face it. But I think that there's power that you gave yourself in acknowledging what maybe got you there and
Mhm.
what are those things that you can work on. So I
Hmm.
hope that you're able to see the growth even in that, because you did move more. You
Mhm.
were you were doing the step that you were doing different things, and now that the food is the piece that you're continually working on. I think, and that's
Mhm.
so many of us right now, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
the food
That's
is
a
is the hard part.
That's what I was gonna say is, Rikki, I hear from you is just consistent awareness
Mhm.
of you, like, you're identifying what it is and
Mhm.
owning kind of what it is. And I have a feeling, probably if you go back and look at years past, this is I'm gonna guess maybe on par, a little bit below what it would have been before,
Mhm.
right? Like, I mean,
Potentially.
even through Christmas, though, for the fact that you stuck with the step ed,
Mhm.
right? You were still maintaining healthy habits along with it. It was just, we can't separate. I mean, it's easy to be where we are now and then go back and look at Christmas week, but Christmas week and like those 2 weeks from Christmas to New Year's are just they're like in their own vacuum. And
Mhm.
there's so much that is sitting in front of us, food that we don't usually see, food that we don't usually experience. The temptation level is so high. And just what's in that food is so different than what we normally eat, too,
Mhm.
right? We're talking about now full fat cream cheese and butter and all of that jazz. And that, even if you do small quantities of it, lots of small quantities can add up.
Mhm.
So I hear awareness, but also commitment to the healthy thing, like the step ed as well.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank
Yep.
you.
Candice.
Well, I think I was somewhere in the middle between both of you. So if we're talking about the 2 week span, the first week, I feel like I had honored the boundaries that I had. I was doing everything that I feel was in balance. I was drinking my water, I was counting my points, I was exercising, and I felt good about the choices that I was making. And I think the last week, though, I did kind of fall into what and it shows you sometimes you can say and have the best of intentions, but sometimes your actions don't line up with your thoughts. So I did fall into January 1 is a Saturday. Like it's January 1.
Stars aligned.
The stars aligned. Okay. Saturday is my weigh-in day. My points reset. It's the first of the year. Like
You
it's
could
like
not have asked for a more optimal.
it's like God like opened up the heavens and chose this day, right? And so I was like, let me honor that by like being ridiculous this past week going into it, because otherwise it won't feel like a fresh start. It's horrible.
Your
But
drama is so on point. I mean, if you were going to use an
Heavens.
opportunity
I was
to be
like,
extra,
why would I want to go into it already on plan? Because it would diminish the beauty of this day. But honestly,
my
that last week was brutal. And I did have a gain. And similar to you, Rikki, I was like, so apparently you can put on a decent amount of weight in a week.
Just because we didn't have meetings, it wasn't like invisible. Like,
and I'll tell you, that's what also has been a little bit tough is I personally am having to transition back to weighing it at home because we're having a surge right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are aware we're having a surge with the COVID cases, and with my little guy at home, you all know I have a son. That's something I can't risk. It's kind of going out. So weighing it at home it's accountability, but it's a little less. I sometimes do better with somebody else weighing me in. So, but that's an excuse.
Listen,
That's an excuse.
do Rikki and I, do we all need to get a scale and go over to your garage on Saturday mornings and we just watch each other weigh in?
Only
and
if
look
you
at the
bring
numbers?
those little holly things you were talking about, because
And-
I do also want to say I have a bone to pick with you, Erin, because I blame you for me eating a cupcake, because I thought for sure when I saw your great cookie bake that I was going to get a green holly thing with a little hot tamale crunch on it, right? Only because they look so good. Listen, full disclosure, not because she offered any. It's not like she said, guys, I'm going to bring this over. I fully invited myself to partake of this. And
without saying a word.
when it did not happen, I was like, well, you know what? I have to get a cupcake because I didn't get any of the little leaf tree hot tamale things that Erin made and posted. And I'm triggered. And so I'm going to blame you.
If anybody wants these things, it's by Kellogg's and it's called the cornflake wreaths. It's like it's an old recipe. So just Google Kellogg cornflake wreaths. I'll find the recipe and I will link it in the show notes. Okay.
And it's only because Rikki, I don't know if you remember last year, she did give us like
Yes, I remember them.
I did, didn't
remember
I?
them. Yeah.
But it's okay because you can't invite yourself to stuff like and be like, Erin, did you forget?
You're not making her feel bad at all.
Yeah, those cookies look great, Erin. Look really good. Really good. So if I wanted to be in a blaming excuses mode, I would say it's Erin's fault that I gained. But no, I'm joking. But I really do want to feel like the accountability of looking forward to fresh starts. I still am in that mode. I know I shouldn't, but it was very.
How much do you think too? Like our step bet ended Christmas Day. It was like I felt like a little bit of freedom, not gonna lie.
No, and I felt very much like very sad because then I went from getting my steps to getting no steps.
Ooh, okay.
Like I know, like I was like, I don't have to because I'm not being monitored.
Now, listen, I'm not gonna lie. I did have one day where I like set my step bet down because to go join the next one, it did my assessment and it took me up an extra like 2,500 steps. And I was like, no, I can't do 11. I'm not at a place right now where I can do 11,000 steps. That's just not going to happen on a power day. Mm-hmm. So I put my step bet down so it would reassess and give me a lower number.
The things that we have to do. Listen, it's like, look, somebody in our meeting room said the same. They were like, I was going to join your step bet. And they're a runner and they were like, but my numbers are ridiculous and I'm not doing that every day. So I can understand, trust me, the things we have to do to make it realistic for us. But I did notice that not having that accountability was a little tough.
Okay. So as we move into now and we're firmly within this new year of 2022, what's something that you want to leave in 2021? And this is new year, your fresh start, right? That this is not even who I want to be, this is who I am in 2022. Do you feel, is there anything that you feel comfortable enough to go, this is who I am in 2022? Ooh, dun,
Uh,
dun, dun, making you
I think
think.
so. I think for me, what I want to leave behind, I think I can be good at giving excuses for things and not pushing myself hard enough. Um, we all have busy jobs, we have challenges related to just being busy people. So I think there's some times where I think I'm letting myself off the hook by getting something quick to eat or having an extra cookie or, not working out. Like those things, I think I call them treating myself. But really, when I think about it, I'm not. I'm not disciplining myself, and it's not helping me. So that's something I want to leave behind. And thinking about who I want to be, I'd like to be confident, and I think we've had the discussion about the confidence needs to come first instead of me saying, okay, I'm going to get to my healthy body, my perfect weight, that number on the scale, and then I'll be confident. But I'm acknowledging that I really need that the confidence needs to come first, and I need to walk in that in order to and own that as I lose the weight.
Mhm. Rikki, when you say too, like gaining the confidence, where do you think is like an area where it's like instantly like I feel the push, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, here's the situation where I want to express that confidence. Do you have any idea of what that is where you feel that challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely when it comes to anything related to my physical appearance, and then also with dating, like for me, that's a challenge, and it's been something I shied away from because I haven't felt like, oh, I'm not ready. I'll be ready when I lose this amount of weight, insert whatever number of pounds. So I think it's been kind of an excuse to avoid that stressful situation.
Those 2 pairing together, the excuse and the
Right.
confidence.
Right. They do go together. And it's like, if I keep putting up this wall and if I keep making excuses, I don't have to face that scary thing. So I'm acknowledging that I'm having to break down those walls and say,
Mhm.
I think you've said this before, Candice. Sometimes you have to do things scared. Like
Yeah.
I might be scared, but I need to do it scared because otherwise I'm gonna be sitting in my house all day and not talking to anybody and not moving forward.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And sometimes acknowledging that the fear sometimes weirdly could be that you get the thing it is that you want.
Mhm.
That can be
Mhm.
scary too,
Yeah.
because you're conditioned to always being in the phase of wanting it and wanting it and wanting it. And then if it's
Mhm.
like, oh, here it is.
That's the same thing with weight loss, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm in the phase of losing and losing and not losing and not losing. And it's part of my identity has been this cycle of like repeated, I want to say failure of like not meeting those goals. And that's kind of now part of my identity that I need to break. Like, no, I'm a consistent loser. I'm someone who is truly losing weight. I have to learn what life is like as someone who's fit and skinny because I haven't been that in a long time. And I don't mean skinny. Let me rephrase that: fit and, looking
Mhm.
healthy, fitting into clothes that are a smaller size. Skinny is not a part of that anymore. I think it was when I first started. But to me, that's, not something that has to mean healthy. I think it's not synonymous with healthy as I think we used to think it was.
It's creating the healthiest version of Rikki
Mhm.
that you imagine would be the healthiest version of yourself.
Exactly.
It's also
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so scary to me how quickly something can become a part of your identity and something that you
Mhm.
identify with. I mean, it doesn't take long. It should be that that's actually encouraging because it is on the flip side, it shows that you can quickly change the way that you think about
Mhm.
yourself and things.
Mhm.
Because I agree with you, Rikki. I identify so much with what you say about identifying as somebody who stops and starts and has all of the things that are negative
Mhm.
as being a part of who I am, but choosing to change that habit, to change that identity, going back to our book,
Mhm.
you know, and saying that's no longer who I am, and here are the actions and habits that show that.
Mhm.
That's an exciting thing to look forward to. So I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to seeing that for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank
Yeah.
you. What about you
Um,
guys?
I was trying to remember. Okay, so you said, what are we leaving into in the
Yeah,
prior year?
what do you want to leave in the prior year, and what do you envision for yourself, identity moving forward this year? What are things that you want to grab a hold of for yourself?
Yeah. I think that I really want to leave the obsession with perfectionism. Like, I think I've talked about that as a theme for me from the beginning of my journey is, and I've gotten a lot better. I will say that this prior year, I would, especially towards the end, I did let go of the perfectionist tendencies a lot more, but I'm not 100% there. And I have been able to see how it really has been a hindrance to my journey overall to be focused on 100% as opposed to 70, 80,
Mhm.
and being okay with most days or some days instead of it being 100. So I would like to leave that because I know it doesn't serve me. I know where it came from. I've identified where in my childhood the desire and the need to be perfect came, and letting that go and saying it no longer is necessary
That's
for
awesome.
this stage in my life. It's a scary thing to do because when you've been doing it for so long and you've believed it for so long, having to accept that you were wrong. Like that maybe was the hardest
Mm.
thing is saying, you know what? I thought this for a really long time and I was wrong. It really wasn't required because there's a little bit of guilt or like shame in holding
Mhm.
on to something that I knew wasn't necessary when everyone was telling me it wasn't and I was holding on to it.
Yeah,
So letting go of that and saying, yeah, there's guilt, shame, or whatever I feel about it. It's still true that perfection isn't required
right.
and doing that. So that's what I want to leave. And for me, consistency and intention and being intentional with my actions is something that I really want for myself in 2022 because there's a lot of changes that are going on personally, professionally that have nothing to do with anything other than the way that I'm going to be able to get through it is being consistent in the things that matter to me, whether that be drinking my water or counting my points, knowing that there's a reason why I'm choosing to do those things and that they have value. And like I said, Erin, you actually really motivated me when I saw how you were able to take something as small or big as walking and be very intentional and to get to this point. And I want to see that for myself and see what consistency gets me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I didn't need to have my Bravo gloves on because
I
for
know.
both of
Look,
you, I need to be
they're right
waving them
here.
around. Yeah, I identify with a lot of what you're saying. I think for me, like things that I want to leave in the prior year, and it's so funny, you guys. I mean, I've had 2 weeks of vacation and it's been glorious and it's been wonderful and it's just been me. I'm the only person I've had to worry about. It's one of the blessings of being single, right? Well, the blessings and the curse, but in this case, it's a blessing. And then today was my first day back to work, and it was the encroachment on my time. It was the misunderstandings already out the gate. It's the having to overlook offenses, right? Like,
Mm.
and I could feel the stress welling up in me. And the funny thing is that the stress that was welling up in me was telling me I needed carbohydrates.
Mm.
Go eat something comforting. And I'm like, why? Why? Where is this coming out of it? I'm like, oh, it's it's the stress, and that's how I would handle stress before is I would eat something. And so the reward center of my brain is going, when this happens, I need to do this. And so it's recognizing that and rewiring that, going, no, when this happens, I don't need to eat food and I don't need to eat carbohydrates. When this happens, I need to step away and I need to go pray so I don't hurt anybody. And I need to attack. Food is for nourishment, emotions are to deal with an emotional problem. And I need to fight with both of them. So I think leaving in the past of this past year is for me, I would love to leave some of these emotional swings when it comes to stress. I would love to leave that in the past. And so I don't know how to quite figure out that. I'm, attacking that little by little. But what I do notice is that when those things happen, it leads to this domino effect to my boundaries. And my boundaries, like I said in our little New Year's messages and things, my boundaries were trash last year. I didn't have any good boundaries for myself, and I leapt before doing things instead of stopping to ask the questions. And I let other people start to encroach upon me. And that was when I started putting in my walk time, 4 p.m. I close the laptop, I go for my walk. And everybody knew that that was a boundary that I had established. And I want to continue to do that because I have to let people know too what my boundaries are. And there's the thing is, people will respect, they will start to respect. And if they don't start to respect your boundary, right, then you know what side of the boundary they fall on.
I'm going to say that's indicative of maybe reevaluate that relationship.
Right. 100%. 100%. So I think for me moving into this year, it's a continuing strengthening of my boundaries and the intentionality that goes with those boundaries. And even that applies to everything in my life, including the food, being able to set up a boundary at Christmas and go, today, we're not going to have any cookies. Today's not going to be a cookie day. And I'm going to respect the boundary that I've created on this. Yeah, I kind of got the taste for one, but no, I've said I'm going to do this today and I'm not depriving myself, but if this is the goal that I have, then I need to be able to say no to myself and respect that. And I can't expect other people to respect my boundaries if I won't even respect my boundaries. So I think that's a big thing for me moving forward this year is intentionality and discipline, because that's been something that's been lacking for me for the better.
And I think it's
last
probably
year.
going to be very important for you and all of us to view, when you have those boundaries, to view it as a positive, like you
Yeah.
said, instead of a negative. Like
Mhm.
I'm not hurting myself by saying I'm not choosing to have the cookie today.
Right.
That's not me living in deprivation. That's actually me living empowered.
Right. It's
Because
not that
I
I
can make,
can't. It's
Mhm.
I'm choosing not to so that I can
Mhm.
Right.
do something else. I don't know if you guys remember Miss Alice from our meetings. I mean, Candice, you may not, because you may
I
have been
probably was
Julie or
missing.
you were Julie or
I was
Nicole
missing
back.
in action.
But Miss Alice, I don't even know where she is today, but I will never forget, she loved Five Guys, and she would say that she was addicted to Five Guys.
I do remember Miss Al. Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes. And she would come on Saturdays or something to go to school.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So she loved her Five Guys, but it was a big problem for her. And so what she started doing was she would pick one Saturday out of the month, and that was her Five Guys lunch day. And then all of a sudden she started doing that, and that helped her put the boundary up that she needed. And then she started eating half the fries at Five Guys instead of the whole order of fries. And then she started doing it once a quarter because she decided that, her taste buds had changed enough to where she no longer craved it. And I'll never forget her saying that, because I thought, wow, if this person can do this, I should try doing this. Like hearing someone do that made me want to try to see what is something that's in my life that is running me over that shouldn't be, and to put a boundary around that and give myself permission to do it within this boundary. And I just thought that was phenomenal.
And we shared that again with our most recent lifetime person, Jeanette, when she was talking about her peanut butter.
Mhm.
Right.
And how I think
Absolutely.
she said she recognized that it was something that she was having a challenge with, keep eating it within normal portions. And then she
Mhm.
said, I'm only going to have it after weigh-in on Saturdays, something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a
And
piece of toast, right? With a
I
little bit
think
of,
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how that empowered her to be able to, because she was stuck with trying to get the last little bit off or get
Mhm.
the weight off. And when she made that change, she was able to do it, and she still was able to have the thing that she wanted.
Mhm.
So that sticks with me even more recently, but I do remember that story as well. But those are all examples
Mhm.
of how boundaries can work for you.
right.
And I wonder too, with that and with what you were sharing, Erin, like noticing that it it's probably going to take a little bit of time for you to see the results of that. Like you may not see them the next week or 2 weeks after, but whatever thing you're setting boundaries with, I think if you can have the patience, and that's something I'm going to speak to myself. If I can have the patience to just say, I'm going to wait and see, I may make this change and it may take a month, 2 months for me to see the results. But if I can be patient enough and continue to be disciplined, consistent with the habits, what are the results going to be? And maybe that's why for Miss Alice, it became easier for her to say, hey, do I actually need this once a month? Like maybe it's once a quarter, because
Mhm.
she probably knew that taking it down even further and not having it as much as she was even monthly would
Yeah.
give her even more results.
Yeah, and I think like one thing too, just for us to even note for anybody who's watching and listening, I think there's a difference between I personally feel there's a difference between a boundary and restriction. To
Mhm.
me, this is not restriction because I'm not telling myself that I can't ever have this. I'm just recognizing that for myself, this thing triggers something in me to go do other bad habits. And I'm not saying I can't ever do it, but I want to put this in a very specific place to allow me to be able to have it in a place of freedom
Mm.
instead of in restriction or in negativity because again, we're trying to get away from this thing that there are bad foods. There are no good foods. Well, there are better food choices than other things, but this thing that there are bad foods or some foods should be off limits. Personally, for me, I don't jive with. I just don't. That puts me into quote unquote diet culture, and I don't I don't want that. I want the freedom to be able to choose the food when I want and when I don't want.
Yeah. And that's a big point. And going back to what Rikki said with the patience, when you are making those choices and not about deprivation, but with the boundaries, I think something else that we really have to focus on is reframing when we're looking at the patients, what we're expecting. Is it just the scale going down? I mean, there's so many other things that that can tide us over while we're waiting for the scale to do what it needs to do that shows and indicates progress, whether it's that
Mhm.
you're sleeping better or you're not craving sweets as much. If it's something that
Mhm.
you're choosing to limit, Erin talking about the carbs, there are other indicators that the choices that you're making are helping you other than the scale. And
Mhm.
that's something that I really need to focus on as well
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
2022, because it's just a part of this culture that the scale is the only seems to be the only way that we determine
Mhm.
if something's working. So, Rikki, if like you said, for patients, what if the scale isn't going down immediately
Mhm.
after you make that change? Does that mean that you just give
Right.
up the habit?
Right.
Right.
Well,
Or it's not
also,
a beneficial one because it's not
Right.
ticking
uh-huh.
down that number.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many people who make choices to eat healthy or not, and the goal isn't to lose weight. I think I shared this before, and I was trying to find the exact quote, but one of the pastors at my church has been going through cancer, and he's now in remission. But he shared one of the things that he initially did was change his diet. And he was talking about, and I'm going to butcher this quote, but he said something along the lines of, when I became more disciplined with food, it was when I was closer to freedom as far as, health freedom because his health changed after that because he was disciplined with the food choices that he made. So I I have to find the exact quote and post it, but it's not it helps us in so many more ways when we eat healthy foods and people do it not just to lose weight and for other health benefits.
And that's exactly it. It's like if we were going to the doctor and looking at, our diet, our blood sugar numbers, our, blood pressure. There's other things that are affected. And, that's a big piece that sometimes drives people to come to WW.
Mm,
And that wasn't the weight, it's because the doctor told them, like, you
Mhm.
need to, your levels are out of control. You need to get this together, and that's not something that they're expecting to have change immediately. It's over time,
mhm,
it's by, yeah.
The other thing with this too, just thinking about for a lot of people who are starting out maybe for the first time on WW or, it's been a long time since they've done it. When we think about losing weight, when we look at doing these things, we tend to look at it through a negative lens of things that I'm giving up, the things that I'm losing, the things that I'm setting down, I'm letting go, instead of a different reframing of the picture of going, these are the things that I'm gaining by
mhm,
making the choice to eat less of this item, and I'm eating more of this item,
mhm,
right? Like if we took a minute and just reframed that for ourselves,
mhm,
that I'm going to start moving better because my body has less inflammation in it
mhm,
because I'm choosing to eat fewer of the processed food items. And because I'm eating more vegetables, I'm getting extra hydration and I'm getting more nutrients. Today I chose to eat kiwi, and kiwi has twice as much vitamin C as an orange. And right now in the wintertime, my body needs as many nutrients as possible to keep it healthy and ward off viruses and
Right.
things, right? Like if we
Yeah.
started looking at it through that lens, I wonder how much that would change for
Yeah.
us.
And I think adding on to that, Erin, because something else I'm seeing when I see posts on our Facebook group or even on Instagram, I think we're also needing to change where we are mentally, because I think a lot of people who are starting the journey, maybe starting from a place of feeling unworthy. I'm not
Yeah.
worthy now. I'm
Yeah.
coming here because I'm not worthy. I'm bad. And my hope is that as I lose weight or figure this out, I will become worthy of good things.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that that needs to be flipped. I'm
Yeah.
actually coming because I'm worthy of good things right now.
Mhm.
And this plan, this lifestyle is going to reinforce that worth. So
Mhm.
this is actually an
Mhm.
expression of the worth that I do have,
Mhm.
because trying to come from a place of not hating yourself
Mhm.
and hating who you are is something that it's really tough. It's tough to make good choices for yourself when you hate yourself.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was
Yeah.
thinking about the different times when I've been at this time of year and I've made the change, and I literally use those words.
Mhm.
I hate myself. Why can't I conquer this? Why can't I?
Mhm.
Am I, why is food such an obsession for me? Well, this will never be fixed. I will always be like this.
And how many times when someone new is joining, or even, when we're joining for the fifth time or whatever it is, do we say, it's the new me? Like, I'm gonna become a new person. Or after people have lost weight, this is the new me. And it shouldn't be about me becoming a different person, because there wasn't anything wrong with me holistically before. My body was unhealthy, and my mental, the way I thought of myself was unhealthy, but I'm not becoming some shell. Like, I'm not in a shell right
Yeah.
now, just chipping away, like, maybe emotionally, but not, it's
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the same person, just better taken care of.
You had the worth all along. That's the lie. The lie is that the worth is at the end of this.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
truth is you were worthy from the beginning. And if
Mhm.
right.
you could see that, that probably would help you make choices that's
Mhm.
reflective of that worth.
To
Yeah.
me, one of the strongest things, like, we feel so weak in this moment, right? So, so weak. But to me, it's actually the strongest moment, because you are having the strength to make that decision that you're going to commit to doing this again. You've looked failure in the face so many times, but you've made the choice that I'm going to try one more time.
Mhm.
To me, that's a huge sign of strength, whether you're starting at 410 pounds or 350 pounds or 225 or
Mhm.
175, right? Whatever the weight is, it's not
Mhm.
about the weight. It's about you, who you are inside, what you're bringing to this, and becoming that best, healthiest version of yourself. Some people might have more to go than others, and that's okay. There's
Mhm.
got to be grace for yourself along this journey.
It's been so encouraging to me to see a lot of the influencers, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, who are reinforcing that message of,
Mhm.
hey, it's good to see you back January 1. Did you make a New Year's resolution? That's awesome. I don't care if
Mhm.
you made one in the past 10 years. The fact that you're here fighting and doing it again, good, wishing
Mhm.
you the best. Because right now I do feel that sometimes people are shamed
Mhm.
and
Right.
decide it's like, oh, there go the resolutioners who are
Right.
Mhm.
so what?
I'm going to avoid the gym for the
I'm
first 2
gonna
weeks,
avoid the gym for the
and
first 2
they'll
weeks, and
drop
they'll be
out.
gone. But why are we shaming people? For
Right.
me,
Mhm.
I don't care when you choose to make the now, whether you're a person like me, like I told you, my Saturday, God shine down. But you know what? If I really decide that I started on Saturday, good for me. Good for
Mhm.
me.
Yes.
Good for
Mhm.
me. I did
It's
it.
because you
Starting, that's
started.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Because I think
That's
that
more than some people do.
we have to stop with shaming people for whatever they decide to do, and just
Mhm.
be people need cheerleaders, and we need to be our own cheerleaders.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not a sermon, just a thought. Just saying.
No, but I think that's a really great point, honestly, Candice, because People do need cheerleaders. And I don't know if I count back and look at my life, I can't think of how many times I actually did things and succeeded without people cheering me on. That's
Mhm.
what pulled me forward. Like think about a 5K, right? Or any races that we've done. The ones that are quiet that they don't have anybody, it's kind of like, what am I doing here? But the ones that have the people holding the signs and shouting, you've got this, you can do this, right? Like you notice you smile, you pick up the pace.
Mhm.
And there may be times on a journey that it's silent. And I think that when we get to those spots where it is silent, that's where we need to take the messages that we've already heard and
Mhm.
start speaking them to ourselves until someone else can affirm that as well.
Mhm.
But it's got to start in here first.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have to be the ones to generate that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a song out there that says sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Sometimes
Mhm.
you have to speak victory during the test because you can't rely on other people to do it, although we really appreciate it. And
Yes.
Mhm.
like you said, I think that's a very big point, Erin. When it's silent and you don't hear anything,
Mhm.
you can hear you. I always say, be careful what you say to yourself because you are listening.
Right.
And whether
Mhm.
that be, let's just keep going, I'm going to try again, it's okay. That's you affirming yourself. And
Mhm.
Right.
that voice should be the loudest.
And
Yeah.
why would you be able to succeed if you're consistently telling yourself that you can't,
Mhm.
that you're fat, that you're ugly, that
Mhm.
nobody will love you, right? If that's the message that you're repeating back to yourself over and over again, well, that's going to be the message that you start living out.
It's
Yeah.
the Eeyore syndrome. Okay, I
Mhm.
guess,
And
I
I mean, that's a tough cycle to break.
Yeah.
When that's what you've been hearing from yourself for so long, it can almost feel weird to start being your friend because it's almost like, what are you like?
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't feel right coming out of our own mouths or inside of our heads, have
Yeah.
you guys ever felt that? Like when I started making that transition a couple years ago of like, I cannot say this. What I say to myself about myself matters. And it
Mhm.
felt weird to start treating myself well.
I think it goes back to we've talked about this a few times before, but I may not believe it, but I have to say it.
Yes.
I have to interrupt that thought. I have to fake it till I make it. I'm going to say the positive things. And I think I've gotten a lot better at interrupting myself. And, even if it's just a no, like, even if I don't feel like saying, you're incredible, you're amazing, you can do, even if I'm not quite there yet that day, I might just, if I start to say, you can't do this, you're going to, nope. And then I just do something, I stop it. And I
yeah,
think you have to be, even if you're not ready to say, the most encouraging thing, there's always something, I like the way my nails look today. I like, that I got up 5 minutes earlier and I did some stretches, whatever it is, there's something we can find joy in or some type of pride in.
and I'll tell you the last one, my therapist, when I was going to therapy, she did an exercise that really helped me break it too, because I was speaking negatively. I was like, oh, I'm never going to lose this weight. And out of the blue, she was like, yeah, you're not. Everything I said, she affirmed. She was like, yeah, you
Wow.
probably aren't. You probably just need to quit. And it sparked in me. I was like, well, first of all, I didn't say that I was never going to lose it. And she's like, no, you probably won't. Like, you've been trying for a long time. Like, it's probably not going to happen.
That's
And
reverse psychology there.
yeah, and I was like, first of all, don't use your therapeutic techniques on me. I know what you're doing here. But what would happen if somebody agreed with you? It kind of makes you, then you want to be, you can't tell me what to do. Now I'm going to have to get to goal. So when in doubt, just think of everyone affirming your thoughts and see if
And
it
prove
pisses
them
you off
wrong.
enough. See if it pisses you off enough.
And what happens if you do succeed?
Yeah.
What happens if your dreams do come true?
Yeah.
Right? That might introduce a whole different fear, but we can tackle that in another episode.
It's our
But
light, not our darkness.
right.
That
Where
scares us.
Oh, ladies, look at us going deep.
Starting
love
off the new year with deep thoughts.
Yes.
So good. Well, hey, we're so grateful that you've been joining us for the conversations, and man, we just want to say thank you for being a part of Real WW Talk. We started this podcast, the podcast version, a year ago. one whole year ago. And we just have to give some love to the Real WW Talk community, because you have made Real WW Talk the number one WW podcast, which is kind of crazy, which is really bonkers to consider that that this conversation and all is played. Well, sorry, I hit my microphone. Is played out on Apple's top 200 health and fitness podcast. So I think that just goes to show that you can be part of the top 200 chart and not be the picture of the health and fitness, or what we would associate as, like, you know, the slim, trim, fit stuff. But we're part of the health and fitness community, right? Because there's so much that goes into it.
And
So
we'll have our phone numbers and email linked for Oprah when she wants to meet up to discuss how in a year we have become the face. No,
I'm sure she really needs tips from us. So
she's like, okay, no, thanks.
she's like, thank you, sweeties. Okay, goodbye.
Oh, that's nice. All right.
Right. So thank you to this community. And I mean, this is you. This is you. These are your thoughts that are, you know, that you've been expressing to us, that we get to repeat back to you and join these conversations together that are a part of this. So we're grateful, and thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And also shout out to everyone who listens in Australia and Ireland and Canada and the UK, because I saw we were like number 45 on the health and fitness in Ireland, and I was like, get out.
I want to
wanna have us
inappropriately
there.
do an accent, but then I don't want to screw it up. But like,
No.
so
But I
I'm
mean,
not.
if
I'm
they
just gonna
want us
say
to
thank
have
you.
like to sponsor a trip for us to go, just to, you know,
We need to
boost
say thank you
morale.
in person. That's
Yeah.
that's only polite
mean,
and kind.
My name is Erin, so I'm already halfway there. I'm already there. Anyway, we love you. We're going to hit the road, but we would love for you to spend time with the community, the Real WW Talk community, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the podcast. Just search Real WW Talk. And if you want to send us an email, Oprah or anyone else, we will respond back to you too. Just shoot it to realwwtalk@gmail.com. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
Let's do this thing. Bye.
Bye.